Hi guys,
Hello,
I am Megha
I'm Anurag.
and this is Poems with Friends where we read a poem and try to feel something. So we are in different locations again, that is why this is going to be a Zoom episode. But we are dedicated to keep reading poems and dedicated to keep feeling things. So,
Yes, and this is episode 10.
episode 10. Yeah.
So we have double digits.
Yes. Okay, so today's poem is actually generally what happens before an episode is I discover a new poem mostly before an episode. This one is something that I read some time back, but then this is a very, feel good poem. Like I was feeling a little down yesterday and I wanted to just, feel a little good. So I went back to this, but this is definitely a poem that you would go back to. So I thought it would be nice to do this one.
Nice.
Okay. You want to read? It's Wild Geese by Mary Oliver.
Wild Geese by Mary Oliver.
Hmm.
You do not have to be good. You do not have to walk on your knees for 100 miles through the desert repenting. You only have to let the soft animal of your body love what it loves. Tell me about despair, yours, and I'll tell you mine. Meanwhile, the world goes on. Meanwhile, the sun and the clear pebbles of the rain are moving across the landscapes, over the prairies and the deep trees, the mountains and the rivers. Meanwhile, the wild geese high in the clean blue air are heading home again. Whoever you are, no matter how lonely, the world offers itself to your imagination, calls to you like the wild geese, harsh and exciting, over and over announcing your place in the family of things.
Hmm.
Oh, nice.
Nice. Yeah, it's a very feel good poem, right? But not in a very cliched sort of way, I think. It's
Yeah,
existential, but it's existential feel good. I didn't know that would be a genre, but I think this is.
it feels yeah, ठीक है कि you can be sad in the nature.
Yeah, you can be sad, you can be like, you do not have to be good, you do not have to walk on your knees. I think I love actually how it starts also because when sometimes you feel like, what do I have to do? That is a question that you ask yourself. Or what am I supposed to do? Or how much am I supposed to do? So I love the opening lines very much also because she starts with, you do not have to be good. That is such a simple sentence, but it is so powerful because a lot of people, and I know you are also a very, compulsively good person, I would say, for the lack of a better word. Like you will bend over backwards and you will spread yourself too thin trying to be nice, even if people are taking advantage of you, and then you will get completely exhausted by it. So if I found you in despair, I think I would say this line to you that you do not have to be good. It's okay. You can just be not such a nice person for a while. So I love how it starts, It's like it's almost like having a conversation with someone who is sitting and having a hard time. She doesn't, because I love that she doesn't start with nature or she doesn't start with mountains and rivers because that would not pull me in so fast, right? Because you guys like, yeah, mountain nature, I know everything. She pulls me in by almost talking directly to me by saying, you do not have to be good. You do not have to walk on your knees for 100 miles through the desert repenting. You didn't do anything wrong. Just relax.
That's like and which is very nice because that is the true nature. Like for example, oh, one has to be good or one should be good. She's
Yeah.
saying you do not even have to be that. Like,
Yes.
hmm,
And I like she doesn't. I think it's a little bit of a religious reference, but it's not a very outright religious reference. For example, you don't have to walk for 100 miles through the desert repenting. I'm not sure. I think it's a reference to some religious kind of thing, right? Where the prophet or someone walked for 100 miles. I mean, it seems like for me, it seems like a very religious imagery that, walking in the desert, repenting. But she's not very explicit about it because her agenda is not to say something about a particular religion or say something really in general about religion. Her agenda is to help you. I mean, I love how her agenda is very clear in the poem. Her agenda is not to make a very strong statement about religion, that religion tells us to be good or the state tells us to be good. That's not her agenda. Like, whoever told you to be good, she doesn't care about it. She just wants to help you out. So she wants to just tell you that you do not have to be good, you do not have to walk on your knees for 100 miles through the desert repenting. You know?
Agree, actually.
Hmm.
The religious. I think what I really like is actually the next line just after this. Like, you do not have to be good. You do not have to walk on your knees for 100 miles through the desert repenting. It
Hmm.
just feels like
Like,
it's the standard therapy talk.
yes.
You be you.
Yeah.
And then she directly jumps into you only have to let the soft animal of your body love what it loves.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's very, and like that line connects to the rest of the nature, like the
Hmm.
fact that it is the soft animal in your body. So
Yes.
nature is not around me, I am nature.
Oh,
Like,
yeah. 100%. I think this third line is one of my absolute favorite lines, also. And this third line is something that, that's stuck in my head, that I remember, like, about this poem. Because, as you said, how it just flows, right? It's like she's someone who talks, like, if she were to talk to someone, it just flows. It's like just flowing so beautifully. And if, like, if you go into the technicality of it, she's not using any strong words or any very difficult imagery or something like that. She's just a very simple thing. She just said, let the soft animal, two very basic words that we all know, but we never had them, we never saw them together like that. Soft animal, when did you ever hear that before? Soft animal of your body, just so simple. And I think that's what about poetry in general, I keep saying that again and again, it's not about using very difficult words or very difficult images, it's about thinking of new connections between words,
and this made me realize that
Hmm.
true, the animal is supposed to be suppressed.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you have to be good because you may have animalistic tendencies, etc., etc., and that
Oh,
will be beaten out of you. And
hmm.
now that you pointed out, it feels, I can see why it feels so nice,
Hmm.
because here the animal, like, it's like ghosts. Ghosts are supposed to be scary till someone decided, oh, ghosts could be friendly.
Yes, yes, exactly. Yeah, amazing point. Because even when people say animal in your body, they refer to something which is very vicious or very attacking. No one talks about the animal of your body as a soft animal, like a soft animal of your body. And then I love the line break also here. Love what it loves. Uh, so when you use the word love, it is so cliche, but she builds up to it so beautifully that love what it loves doesn't feel cliche at all. It feels like a nice end.
It's it's very, to be honest, I've heard these thoughts a lot, right? Like, once you go into a self-awareness journey, these are the things that a lot of people tell. But I
Mm-hmm.
think she says it very
Yes.
well. She
Yeah.
says it like, you do not have to talk a lot. I think that's the beauty of the poetry, as you say, no? Like,
Mm-hmm.
she has condensed it into three sentences.
Yes, yes. The way she says it just hits you. That's very right. It's not like I'm hearing this for the first time. It's just the way she says it. You only have to let the soft animal of your body love what it loves. This is a line that will just remain with me for the rest of my life. I know. Hmm. Okay.
Hmm.
We'll go on. This feels like a nice breath that the poem takes, don't you think? Like, she started and then she says, you do not have to be good, you do not have to do this. Love what it loves. And it's like she took a breath And then she started again.
Do you want to go next?
Tell me about despair, yours, and I will tell you mine. Meanwhile, the world goes on. Meanwhile, the sun and the clear pebbles of the rain are moving across the landscapes, over the prairies and the deep trees, the mountains and the rivers. Meanwhile, the wild geese, high in the clean blue air, are heading home again.
I don't understand this part where he says, "Tell me about despair, yours, and I'll tell you mine." And then she jumps into the nature, like.
For me, it actually painted a image of like a cozy winter morning where, let's say, there's a friend, you're feeling very sad and it's winter, and I come and sit with you and I say that, tell me about your despair and I'll tell you mine, and we'll just talk about our despairs, and somehow by talking about it, it will be gone. Meanwhile, the world is there. I mean, it's like, how some people say that forget about your sorrow because the world is so beautiful, because there are rain and sun and etc etc. It feels like she's not saying that forget about your sorrow because the world is so beautiful. She's saying that come talk to me about your sorrow and I'll talk to you about my sorrow, and both of our sorrows are very real, and it's a cold winter morning and we are very sad, and it's okay to be sad, but also the world is going on around us. It's like she slowly nudges you in that direction. She doesn't say forget about your sorrow, see the sun. She says tell me about it, and but also the world is going around. At
Can I
least
tell
from-
after reading it, like it feels like a gay poem.
Oh,
Not necessarily. I read it and like maybe she's specifically pointing out at the lust element of a person, because like religion and goodness essentially are a lot of times against
oh,
that part.
yeah. Now I see what you're saying. Yes, definitely. It could be. I mean, you are basically saying that religion, let's say, for example, is against gay love, and then she's saying that you do not have to be good, that reference, and then she's saying that let the soft animal of your body love what it loves. So, love should have no boundaries, right? And then, even in the end, she's saying that no matter who you are, you have a place. So, it definitely feels like that.
And I could actually broaden it a little. I do not have to be so confident that she was pointing at that one thing. But I think even a lust, like for a man, between even a man and a woman, is very
Yeah.
harshly judged, right? So it could be reference to that. But when I read it, actually, from my perspective, I was like, oh, I connect to it at another level now.
Oh, yeah. No, definitely. I can totally see what you're saying, but also at the same time, it's such a well-written poem that, as you said, anyone could connect to it. I mean, let's say, even if I am in love with another man, I could definitely connect to it in that sense. Even if I am just depressed because I'm having an existential crisis, even then I could connect to it. I mean, it's so well written that so many angles actually fit into it. But coming back to this line in particular, for me, like it painted that picture of two friends talking and, warmth in that talking to each other. Like, because even talking to each other helps you remove that sorrow, right? So it painted a picture of two friends talking and then the world going around.
And actually, one thing I really like it how she says, yeah, I just want to stop for 1 second and say, I love this poetry analysis because it makes me, I am a very fast reader. I skip over things. And then because we sit and discuss, I realize how beautiful things are. Like, for example, she says, tell me about despair, yours. And I'll do mine. She does not say, tell me about your despair.
Hmm.
She's saying, tell me about despair, but specifically yours. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So she's saying, tell me about despair,
Hmm.
but dig deep. Tell me about your one. I want to know yours.
Right.
Just, I'm like, wow. It's not like just
Wow.
tell me your despair.
No, it's a great point. If she would have written, tell me about your despair, it wouldn't have had that effect, right? She says, tell me about despair. So she makes this declaration that despair is everywhere, almost like, despair and sorrow is there. So she says,
Hmm.
tell me about despair. And then she says, yours, because of course you'll have some, and then I'll have some. It's amazing, how the smallest of things she does have such a strong effect, like soft animal, tell me about despair, yours. I mean, yeah, I think it just makes you think how easy it is to write a poem. I'm going to maybe just write a text message next time and, play around with the words and see if it becomes a poem. Hmm.
Hmm.
Nice. Meanwhile, the world goes on. Meanwhile, the sun, maybe it's just me, but it's like even the spacing of it is amazing for me because, as I said, it feels like she's talking to me and she's not asking me to rush out of my despair. She's not saying, "Ki, see, Megha, the sun is so great, why are you sad? That's why when she puts a full stop after, meanwhile, the world goes on, she stops. Like she's
Hmm.
like easing into the conversation. Meanwhile, the world goes on, but it feels like she's still listening to my despair because she stopped. And then again, she goes. Meanwhile, the sun and the clear pebbles of the rain.
True, like as in it feels like a child could write it. Okay, oh, sun is moving, this is going, that is going, but agree with you that the way she spaces it, like it is craft.
Hmm.
It's like she chose simple words not because of simplicity or
Yeah.
because she has again that agenda of
Right.
having cocoon,
Cool.
soothing
Calm.
oil.
Yeah. Nice. How about this one? Meanwhile, the sun and the clear pebbles of the rain are moving across the landscapes, over the prairies and the deep trees, the mountains and the rivers.
Even the sound is very
Yeah,
steady. Keep the rain are moving across the landscapes over the prairies and the deep trees, the mountains and the rivers. Like it has a very drawling sound to it.
yeah. And it's again the image that she makes using simple words. For example, clear pebbles of the rain. Just a very simple thing that she did there, and it makes you really visualize it. For example, if she would have just said, meanwhile, the sun and the rain, you would be like, you would just skim across it. As we have talked about many times before, the problem with language is that you just skim across it because you have read it so many times. So it doesn't mean anything to you anymore. I love you doesn't mean anything. Sun and rain don't mean anything because you have read it so many times. It's like something to jolt your brain awake. There should be something to jolt you awake. So she does that jolt in, I think, clear pebbles of the rain, pebbles of the rain, and then you suddenly stop to visualize pebbles of the rain.
But I do wonder why she chose like the way she has written it. I
Hmm.
feel just the rain.
Hmm.
Like in my mind, I do not see the sun.
Hmm.
Like the
Oh,
sun there, like
yeah, yeah,
what
yeah.
she's literally saying is sun and clouds are moving like that. But in
Mhm.
my visualization,
No, I agree. You're saying you can only imagine. I can also actually only imagine rain because I think it's such a gloomy poem that we are imagining like a gloomy kind of landscape. Gloomy but warm, but definitely I also agree. I also am just imagining rain. Maybe you should tell her that, you're not imagining sun at all.
because this is a very heavy rain. It's
Yes.
not drizzling. like it's like pebbling down. I'm like, oh my god, this is a rain.
And also actually in the later part, like when the geese are in the clean blue air, then your mind goes back to a clear sky. But
Hmm.
before this whole part actually just reminds you of rain. That is very true. And because the whole imagery is so cold and gloomy, right? For example, even the prairies and the deep trees. By the way, I love again, what she did with soft animal. Deep trees. Like, so simple. But
Hmm.
it makes you feel so much. Like deep, green, lush forests, you know. So, but yeah, deep trees is also such a cold imagery. Like, I imagine deep green, dark green forests in the cold weather when I read deep trees.
True.
Mm.
And it's so nice, right? Like she is not, her agenda is not to make a beautiful landscape like mountains and the rivers. It's just like
Yeah.
change of landscapes, the things that you can easily visualize. I can visualize prairies, forests. Like it's hmm.
Mm. I think,
I'll not.
yeah, this also, because I think here what she does is also creates movement, is at least what I feel. Because she's making things move. Like, meanwhile, the sun and clear pebbles of the lane are moving across landscapes, prairies, deep trees. So it's like there is a movement that she is creating. It's not like she's not creating the image of a particular thing. For example, she could have created the image of like just the ocean or just the sunset. You know, sunset is a very static image, like you're sitting and watching the sunset at one place. But it's like she's creating a movement of moving across the earth. I mean, I can almost imagine myself in the air moving across the earth with the rain. So it creates more like wholesomeness in me. Like, there is so much and it's always moving. It almost makes me feel like my sorrow will move, maybe, you know.
Hmm. Meanwhile, the wild geese, high in the clean blue air, are heading home again.
Hmm.
Whoever you are, no matter how lonely, the world offers itself to your imagination. Calls to you like the wild geese, harsh and exciting, over and over announcing your place in the family of things.
Hmm. Yeah, I think, yeah, this feels to me like the third part, like a third section. Like, we were with the nature and it was moving with the rain. And then I think it also ties back to, because we were moving so much, she coming back to the wild geese going home feels like, you know, everything is moving so much all over the mountains and everywhere. And then you go back home. Like, you
Yeah,
go back.
but I think we paused at the wrong time because she says meanwhile, meanwhile, meanwhile. So ideally speaking, meanwhile should be part of the second part
Huh.
of this.
I agree to that, but I think there is a little bit of there's a little bit of break in the image, right? That that's why I thought that this feels like
See,
rain and then cold, moving everywhere, and then meanwhile the wild geese are heading home again. Like, that feeling of heading home again is so wholesome, right?
the night is happening and they are just all going back to their nests.
Yeah, like the feeling of home. They have a home, so maybe you will have to kind of, you know, they are heading home again. And clean blue air is again, clean is a very nice word to use here. It tells me that the sky is not overcast anymore. You know, it's very nice and blue. Mm. And
Hmm.
hmm,
Wherever you are, no matter how lonely the world of you should be imagination. Oh my god, this is such a warm poem. Like despite it being quite cold imagery, it's so nice and cozy.
yeah. And it's like
Yeah.
she's saying things, as you said, like a therapist would say, but she's saying it in such a great way, right? Whoever you are, no matter how lonely, the world offers itself to your imagination. That is a very weird, like, that's not a normal thing a person would say, that the world is offering itself to your imagination. You can imagine it however you want. It's calling to you, like the wild geese, you know. She's even bringing in sound. So she created this beautiful image of the rain and the trees, the deep trees. And then she's bringing in sound, that the wild geese in the sky. For example, you know, it's great how someone, when someone is lonely, she's she is beautifully connecting this lonely person to the wild geese in the air. She's saying that the wild geese in the air, they are calling to you. You are not lonely because the wild geese know you and they are calling to you, and the world is calling to you.
Which is such a nice thought. Oh my god, it's
And
what she's
sometimes,
saying is not that you will have a place, like you will not be lonely anymore. She's saying that you are not lonely now.
yes, yeah, you're not doing, and it happens with people, like they find connections in other things, right? For example, even when my mom is alone at home, she has this connection with the birds, and she thinks that the birds are calling out to her because she is late today and she did not give them their seed today. And she says that they're cooing so much because I didn't give them their seeds today. So her being able to connect to this, like the birds and nature, so that's such a, like, that's normally what even you do, like to get out of your loneliness, right? And you're alone in your house, in a dark house, you're feeling so sad, just to imagine that the wild geese are calling to you feels so full. She's not saying that you'll find a stranger at your door or you'll fall in love. No, she's saying the world is already, the world knows about you. It knows that you're there, it's calling to you right now.
And that is what a depressed person needs. Like what they want is
Mm-hmm.
that
Yeah.
someone saying that, oh no, come. Like because
Yeah.
they are like, oh, nobody loves me. And like it's a I'm oversimplifying things, but and what it is saying is that just that you have a person who unconditionally wants you there. So it's not saying, oh, you go out in the world and you will find something. It's saying the world is literally calling you. You
Yeah.
just have to listen to that, which
Yeah.
is a very nice thought. It's so nice.
Definitely. Yeah. That's what a depressed person needs actually. And even again, she keeps it a little real, because which is great. She doesn't say that the wild geese are like calling out in love to you. She keeps it real. She says harsh, like, which is a not a very nice word to use in such a context. But I think it's great here because geese, the sound that geese make is very harsh actually. It's like "Ah, ah, ah, ah." So when she uses harsh, it makes me feel that she's not lying to me. She's not saying the geese are singing to me, because the geese don't sing. The geese go "Kang, kang, kang." So when she says harsh, I know she's saying the truth.
Hmm.
Hmm. Harsh and exciting. Hmm.
She is promising what can be delivered.
Yes, yeah. What is there?
You have to, you like see the beauty.
She's like, see the pink sky. The pink sky is not pink, lady. What are you saying? Yeah. Over and over announcing your place in the family of things. Yeah. It actually reminds me of this song by Tame Impala. It also has these lines. Yes, I'm changing, yes, I'm not. World is calling your name, it's calling yours too. Like, I really love this fact of the world calling out to you and announcing your place. You have a place. And
True, like
hmm.
because that is what a lonely person wants, a family. There's so actually
Yeah,
find
yeah.
it deeply sad that
Hmm.
oh, meanwhile the wild geese high in the clean world are heading home again, and it's like they are heading home. I'm lonely, but
Yeah.
I'm like she ends up with the thought that
Hmm.
you are part of that.
Right, right. You are part of that. And what's also amazing is that how she very uh, like effortlessly switched from a direct tone. For example, she started directly talking to us by saying, "You do not have to be good, you do not have to work on your knees." But then she switched to a very indirect tone, saying that the world is announcing your place, because she didn't say that, oh, you have a place in the family of things. Because if she would say you have a place in the family of things, it would feel like, I mean, yeah, what do you know about that I have a place? Yeah.
That's true. That is the point.
It's like she's saying the world is. I am not saying you have a place. The world is saying it. So, mm.
Wow, this is very nice. It's
And
such a
she's like the perfect, she's like the perfect motherly figure kind of person. Like she starts with a very stringent, you do not have to be good, you do not have to do this, like a very stringent but loving person. And then she goes into this whole loving imagery, and then she says, see the geese, and then she hugs you maybe.
hmm. She takes us through a journey.
Yeah,
I
definitely.
have probably gone through this. I have seen the hmm.
Yeah.
It's very uplifting poem.
Yeah, right. I thought that let's do something uplifting. We have been doing angry and weird and sad and depressed stuff so much.
This is also depressed only. I don't think this is particularly.
It's like we are getting there, slowly getting there. We are talking about a depressed person, but how to uplift them. Maybe we'll go to the completely uplifting side.
Uh, but I think this feels real. Like there are a lot of things that I can. This is one of those things I can share to a friend if they are feeling down.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. I think I found this poem in this book called uh, Poetry Alchemy. No, like there's this book in which the author basically collects poems and they recommend a poem for every need. The pharmacy, poetry pharmacy, yeah. They recommend
Oh,
poems like medicines. So they have a section for like depression, broken heart, existential crisis, sadness, anger, jealousy, and then they
where was where was this in?
this was, yeah, existential dread or something like that. This was there.
So this central, right? Wow. I thought it was more accurate. I connected it with. Hmm. My God.
Okay, you want to read it one more time and then we'll close.
You read it. I have already gone through it into it.
Wild Geese by Mary Oliver. You do not have to be good. You do not have to walk on your knees for 100 miles to the desert repenting. You only have to let the soft animal of your body love what it loves. Tell me about despair, yours, and I will tell you mine. Meanwhile, the world goes on. Meanwhile, the sun and the clear pebbles of the rain are moving across the landscapes, over the prairies and the deep trees, the mountains and the rivers. Meanwhile, the wild geese, high in the clean blue air, are heading home again. Whoever you are, no matter how lonely, the world offers itself to your imagination, calls to you like the wild geese, harsh and exciting, over and over announcing your place in the family of things. How great is this, man? It's like such a simple poem, but so much emotion it goes through. Even in the way she talks, like strict and then soft and then depressing and then exciting again. Wow.
Because that, I think, I come back to the same thing. Agenda. Our agenda is not to show off. Our
Yes,
agenda is
yes.
to make someone feel calm or optimistic
Mm.
about their.
And she moves so nicely through it. She's not pushing you towards optimism. She's like, oh, tell me your despair, sadness,
She
sorrow.
shows it to you.
Yeah,
Okay, this is what it may feel like.
mm, definitely.
Yes.
Okay. This was a great episode, I think. But I shouldn't say that myself. Uh, and we'll see you next time. Let us know if you have any poem suggestions. Otherwise, we'll see you with hopefully something uplifting next time. Okay.
I
Bye, guys.